everybody, thanks for watching Be Better Golf. Take a second and click the subscribe button. It really helps the channel. Really exciting video today to have Bertie Cordle out. Hi, Bertie.
Hi, Brendan.
Good to see you. Bertie just literally a few hours ago flew in from England, and now we're out on the range. Bertie, you may know, invented this, didn't you, Bertie?
Yeah, the DST compressor, the curved shafted training club.
This has like become really popular on the different tours of the world. You've got a great stat on your Instagram about how many of the top players use it. What is it you say?
Yeah, we've got sort of 21 of the top 27 players in the world who rely on the club to sort of warm up in the morning to get their sort of synchronizing their downswing movement to reach the correct impact position. And also it kind of helps, because of the curve in the shaft, it helps them keep the club on plane through impact.
And you may be wondering what this is. So there's three really cool things Bertie has going on. He's got the DST clubs, and now this is the DST impact curtain you have here.
Yeah.
And in between the club and the impact curtain, we have this right here. I'm going to show people. What is this line you have on your club here?
So if you put the club head on the ground,
okay,
you can see if you point the shaft of the golf club to the middle of your body, to the belt, your belt buckle, that line on the club head, or on the hosel of the club, points up to your trail shoulder.
Yeah.
And you can locate the optimal impact position by pointing that line to your eyes, and you'll notice when you do that, your hands move forwards adjacent to your lead thigh area. So this impact line, the DST impact line, can be now put onto all of your clubs throughout the bag to enable you to legally, yeah. with the sort of the blessings of the RNA, so you can train with the impact line on the driving range, and then go out and play tournament golf with the impact line. So it's sort of building good feelings and also generating and transitioning those good feelings out onto the golf course, whether it be in your pre-shot routine or just as a trigger to work on in your sort of practice swings. Here
we have this curtain. Now, there's a lot of videos I may cut in, Bertie, of when we see people hit stuff.
Yeah.
Pinatas, or an axe to knock down, to take down a tree.
Or a baseball.
Or a baseball. We see all these positions that, man, if you put that into a golf swing, yeah, that'd be something special. When they're striking something, it's really great. Like your son has only had 2 golf lessons, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, not even with a golf ball either. So this is just sort of my 8-year-old boy who's dead keen on what I'm doing. I haven't really sort of thrust golf down his neck at all. He's wanting to let him to find golf naturally. So, but I noticed that when I filmed his swing last year, he's got a very good hand-eye coordination. Yeah. But he reached an impact position which is like 96% of golfers out there. They sort of reach a scoopy position. Yeah. So if I'm looking at the camera, he reached a position where he got through the ball with his lower body, and he got into a good dynamic position, but his hands were back here. So he was trying to sort of shallow the angle of attack and scoop the ball up, right? Out of his pocket, yeah. So basically I created something physical, which is the DST impact curtain, along with something visual, which is the impact line. Right. So within the space of literally 5 minutes, we got him to go from an impact position where he was like this to an impact position where he was like this through impact, where the impact line points up to your eyes. And we did that through a combination of something physical and something visual, and it was a very natural thing for him to do. The interesting thing was, when you take the ball away, you take that psychological element of the hit tendency out of the golf swing. Yeah. So suddenly the sole drill becomes reaching a position post-impact or at the impact position, and you're not worried about where the ball's going to go.
So what is the instructions that you tell people to do when you have them here in front of us?
Okay, so the first thing, let's start with a lighter club head, right? So if I give you that club head there, and you didn't have the club face on the ground, okay, the club face would be up here. Okay, so when I want you to hit that curtain, I want the full shaft of the golf club to hit the curtain at the same time. So basically what we're trying to do now is literally just to get you to understand that the club face needs to be square to where you're hitting the golf ball. Okay. And if that club face is square when it's against the curtain, I want the shaft of the golf club to hit the curtain at the same time, and I want you just through using your wrists alone to move that club face back to where my hands are now, and then against the curtain again, okay? So that's coming open. Do you see that club face opened? Yeah. Now that's changed your wrist position there. So that's doing it incorrectly, because you're opening and fanning the club face open. So if you start a beginner and start a player to say, understand what that feels like, then you've got a bowed lead wrist.
I do.
Right, so that's understanding where your wrists and hands need to unfold into impact.
So I'm just trying to, step one, I'm just trying to put the shaft and the face on the curtain at the same time.
Yeah. So it's just a really small move. It's just a really small move, just to understand what that feels like in the lead wrist to have a square club face. Okay. So if you put that on the ground, okay, and then you swing it back into this position here, okay, you understand that the shaft or the golf club leading edge here is matching your spine angle.
Yeah, it is.
Right, and then if you unfold that into impact, you've got a square club face. So the club face isn't rolling open and rolling shut.
No, it's just
square. Yeah. So the second thing, if you work at this height again, is to understand, so that we understand where your wrists need to be, or your lead wrist needs to be to get a square club face. So now we need to work on arm structure. If you were to bring that club against the curtain, you could understand the correct sort of arm structure. So suddenly your trail arm, your right arm, the elbow's folding into your body.
Yeah, that feels good. I mean, that's...
So it's a very simple kind of maneuver here. All right?
Just getting the entire shaft on the curtain at the same time.
Yeah. We're trying to have this physical barrier after where the ball is.
Yeah, I've noticed, like in all those videos I was talking about piñatas and trees, anytime you give somebody a stick and they want to hit something, they always put it up off their foot. They never would like put it here. Yeah. You can see the flipping that I have to do in order to get it back there.
Yeah. So basically the sole purpose of the golf swing is to maintain control over the club face until after we hit the golf ball, right? So we want to, in order to do that, basically we have this physical barrier after we've hit the ball. So if my ball position would be this T-peg here, roughly in the middle of the center of my stance, then I can mimic where the club needs to be at impact by pointing that line up to my eyes. Yeah. Okay, so that's where my hands need to be in relation to my body when I strike the golf ball. And when I move into the curtain, the full length of the shaft of the full length of the shaft of the club hits the curtain at the same time. So I'm not really focused on the ball at all. I'm hitting through the ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So in order to get good impact at the ball, you got to get your focus up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally.
So you do that in a combination of the physical, so hitting something physical. So you're training, synchronizing your downswing maneuver and the downswing sequence into a position which is sort of trackable in a two-dimensional sense. Okay. So like an impact bag is just you're hitting something here, but you don't know where the handle of the club should be. Yeah. Whereas here the club head is hitting the curtain and the full length of the shaft is hitting the curtain at the same time. So the grip of the club needs to be exactly there. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know that with the impact bag, my problem with that a lot of times is you have a heavy impact bag, you put it back in the ball position, and you hit it like this, but it stops your hands, and then you go to this, and you're like, oh man, look at this good position I'm getting. Yeah. When in actuality, you're hitting it and then stopping and getting
exactly.
There. So we want the impact up here where the curtain is.
Exactly that.
So let's go through a little protocol of these steps. I'll grab a couple balls and try to get my impact a little bit more forward. Because the thing that I like about this, Bertie, is rather than a lot of parts and pieces of like, hey, do this, and then hopefully your impact will be like this. Hey, like this is impact. And then I'm gonna have to tell you, hey, what did you feel to be able to do
exactly.
that?
So this is a physical position which has been provable in physics that you need to reach to maintain lag tension, and we'll go into what lag tension is in a minute. Yeah. But when you strike the golf ball, you want the club face to be the most stable it can be, and for that to happen, you need to have lag tension. Yeah. All right. So I don't care how you do it, but you need to reach a position where the shaft reaches that curtain, where the full length of the shaft.
What would you like to see me do, Bertie?
So just hit a couple of swings and just reach that curtain with the full length of the shaft hitting the curtain. Okay. So I don't know what you're feeling, I don't know what you're kind of working on, but if that's the sole purpose of your golf swing at the moment, to reach that position, your brain is calculating that you probably need to have a bit of lateral movement, you probably need to have a little bit of rotational movement, and then your hands will release the club in a position where that shaft hits the curtain at the right time.
Well, I can feel like, as far as in proportion, my hands feel much faster than they do in my regular swing.
Right.
My regular swing, I can feel that this is racing a little too much, and this, it feels more of a falling and accelerating, which will be different for other people. They might feel the total opposite.
Yeah. But whatever you need to do, you've done that correctly because you're synchronizing your movement to reach full extension at the same time. So if your hips outrace your hands, then that would be uncomfortable for you, and vice versa.
And if we see this, and then we took a slow motion and backtracked it to where impact was,
then that would be an impact, a lag impact
just like
position.
this. We see like some of the best strikers.
Yeah.
So interesting. The thing that the really interesting drill I wanted to try with you is that kind of is a bridge between hitting the curtain and hitting the ball that I've heard you talk about, is like nipping the tee and then hitting the curtain.
Yes.
So how do you do that?
Well, so basically you could, I haven't got a club with it, I'll just swap clubs with you. So basically, once you become familiar with moving into the curtain with the shaft hitting the curtain at the same time, then clearly the natural progression is you've got to start focusing on the ball rather than on the curtain. Right. So you put a tee peg down in front of the curtain, and then you'd make a swing here, hit the tee peg away, but in the full knowledge I'm trying to move through the tee peg into the curtain there. Yes?
Still getting the full length of the...
And that way you're moving through the shot, and I've kind of scuffed the grass.
That was perfect. That was perfect.
On the target side of the tee peg there.
That's great. Here's my tee. I'll try that. Oh, that was good.
Yeah, and then you notice you got the scuff mark on the tee peg here after you've hit the tee peg out of the ground. You're moving the low point of the club head arc to be on the target side of the golf ball. Because
the thing that's really intriguing about this, Bertie, is the idea to have a system to transfer skills that you already have and make it work in the golf swing.
To make the jump between what a swing drill is and then hitting a golf ball, and that's the how to do it and the progression that you have to go through to go from having a practice swing to a real swing. So Brendan, on the way over here in the car, we were talking about, why is it important to reach this position? Why are we focusing on this position of reaching full extension after impact? What's the significance about it, right?
Yes.
So the purpose of the golf swing is to maintain control over the club face until after we hit the ball. Yeah. And so what that kind of means is, if I come in to be opposite the camera here, so in golf, the main lever of our golf swing is comprised of the lead arm and the club shaft. Yeah. Okay, this is our main lever, okay? And if our main lever reaches the point of full extension before impact, when the shaft is aligned with my lead forearm, it basically does a number of things. Firstly, we're making it very difficult to have a low point of the swing which is on the target side of the golf ball, because we've already reached full extension, which means it's going to stall our lateral movement and our body rotation, and it's more often than not we'll reach the low point before we hit the golf ball. So you'll either hit it duff, or lots of people early extend with their spine and try and save the shot, shallowing in the angle of attack, and that gives you a thin, right? There's two other things that happen if you reach full extension before impact. The first thing is that the club face will want to rotate. So basically the center of gravity in a golf club is here, and the shaft of the golf club, or the apex of the shaft, is down here. So the club face wants to rotate around the apex. And it wants to rotate around the apex of the club face very quickly after the point of full extension. So the club face is going to be rotating at the period that most people are hitting the golf ball.
When you need the most stability.
Exactly. So you're destabilizing the club face before you hit the golf ball. The second destabilizing feature of reaching full extension before you hit the ball is that the shaft and the golf club will be in lead deflection. That basically means it's going to bow this way. The club head, the weight and the mass of the club head is going to make the club head go down this way. Now this is a confusing element because some people use sort of cameras with pretty slow sensors and rolling shutters, which give you very misleading representations of what the shaft is actually doing.
We see that it looks like the shaft is bending like that a whole lot.
Exactly. So basically, if we reach full extension after we've hit the golf ball, and we reach full extension here, the club face or the club shaft is in lag tension. The club shaft is trailing behind an extension of my lead forearm, and therefore it's rotating. The club face is rotating very slowly.
Yeah, Bertie, you have some videos where you show, like make a slow motion downswing, where you show this line coming off the lead forearm, make a slow bad get downswing, and then bad golfers are basically see how it's getting past there, and good golfers that you've captured now make another slow motion downswing, and you guys will see this in the video. Good golfers now are getting the hands there first, and then, oh man, that's what we want.
Okay, so an extension of my lead forearm would be out in front of where the golf club is. So I'd be reaching full extension, I'd be reaching impact here, and an extension of my lead forearm is in front of the golf ball, and then full extension would happen after I've struck the golf ball away. So in other words, I'm stabilizing the club face through impact for as long as possible. That's a lovely strike. Good penetrating ball flight.
When you're going through this with people and teaching without like a camera, how can you tell if a shot was hit with lag tension?
It's very difficult to, clearly.
It is difficult because sometimes you'll hit what looks like a good shot and then you'll see it on the replay and be like, man, that was bad.
Yeah, so I mean, again, as we were talking about in the car on the way up, over the last 6 years, I've kind of accumulated a sort of a massive impact gallery of impact positions from club golfers right through to sort of the elite players in the world.
Yeah.
Right. It's so sensitive as to whether you have lag tension or not. And its ability to control the club face is massive.
Yeah.
Okay. So basically, you can see guys who have been winning tournaments and major tournaments all around the world who do have lag tension at impact.
Yeah.
Right. I'll just demonstrate to this camera. Okay.
Yeah. Bertie was telling me this story about he was at a bunch of different European tour events and how you were surprised because you assumed that all good players have this. You're surprised there's a lot of guys making hundreds of thousands of dollars playing golf that don't have lag tension impact.
No, they weren't making necessarily hundreds of thousands. They were kind of like journeyman tour players.
Bouncing on and off.
But, yeah, on the kind of mini tours.
Yeah.
Right. But there was a distinct difference between guys who were making, multi-million-pound paychecks from playing golf week in, week out, and they had lag tension. So they were in a position like this at impact, where that impact line would be pointing up to your eyes.
Yeah.
The shaft would be trailing your lead forearm, and they'd be in that really sort of optimal impact position.
Yeah.
And then the kind of journeyman tour players who are on the tour, very, very, very talented golfers, but were relying on their hands to time the club face into the ball, would be sort of in this position here, where the shaft is aligned with the lead forearm, but there's no lag tension.
Right.
And then you get the club golfers who kind of go to varying levels of scoopiness, and they were kind of back here.
Yeah.
And that clearly, influences how much or how stable the club face is through impact. Right. So clearly, the longer the club face is stable through impact, you don't need to time the golf ball. There's not that onus on timing that's needed. So basically, if you've got an unstable club face, the club face is going to be rotating quickly.
Yep.
You're going to have lead deflection, which is going to be adding dynamic loft.
Yeah.
That means your strike pattern is going to be all over the face. So you're going to have the spin effect or the gear effect on the golf ball is going to be producing, with relatively the same swing,
yeah.
You're going to have one left, one right, one really high, one short. So your ball dispersion downrange is massive. Okay, but if you have lag tension, the club face or the club path, the club face is just trailing behind an extension of your lead forearm. It's like pulling a trailer behind a car. It's just going to be pulled straight all day long.
Yeah.
But if you kind of throw it out, you're going to jackknife the trailer, and then you've got lost control of it.
Now, when you've had all different types, you've had pro golfers and you've had people who've never swung, how difficult is it to get people to hit the curtain with the full length of the shaft?
It's dead easy.
Not easy, not hard.
Not hard. Dead easy. Yeah.
Right.
So basically, because their focus is changed from here.
Yeah.
I mean, most people, when they're having golf lessons, and I'm sure your viewers will agree that when they warm up to have a golf lesson, they're very, very conscious of where the ball's going to go in the first couple of swings.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't want to cock up in front of my golf pro and hit the ball right or duff it, so it's quite an embarrassing and kind of like a very conscious for the golfer or the student to do. If you take the golf ball away, the fear goes away. So and also you're not focused on that, so you're focused on something else. Right. So something physical is this curtain or a mattress you can put against the wall, and if you put it opposite your lead foot, you've physically got a barrier to swing against. And if I say to anybody, they don't necessarily even have to be a golfer, I want you to reach a position where that shaft hits that curtain all at the same time. So not like this. That's your sole focus. If I work backwards from impact, I can very quickly begin to understand how my body needs to deliver the club into that position. Yeah. So if I was to say start in that position here and then work backwards from it and then bring it up against that, I can say, okay, I now know how to synchronize that movement to reach that desirable position. So you can get someone doing that movement very slowly who's never played before, and suddenly they're reaching really desirable positions.
We're going to be talking a lot more about this. We have more videos coming out from Bertie's trip here, and so stay tuned. We have a lot of interesting content coming. click the subscribe button. Where can people learn more about the DST Impact line like you have on your club?
So, our website is dstgolf.com, and we have an Instagram post which we constantly put on videos and quite fun imagery of golfers reaching impact, and that's at DST Golf. We're also on Twitter at DST Golf as well. Check it out.
And if you guys are interested in getting one of Bertie's DST compressor clubs that is so popular in all the different tours, if you go to dstgolf.com and enter the code DSTBetterGolf, you get, I think, a 15% discount.
You get a discount.
Yeah, you did get a discount for Europe and America. So it's very, very cool. So check that out and see you there. Bye.